Bump, 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 bump. Hey, what's up, guys? Guys and girls. This is Mikey Wine here. You guys know me as Gundam Money Works, and we are live. Second stream back after being on the night shift for 2 months, so we're just getting back in the Ornithopter. But today, we were doing panel lines last week, and we're going to continue doing panel lines because I got a lot of panel lines to do. But I had mail call today. Plus, I've got to reveal my next project, and just kind of something I'd actually forgotten about. It was actually a commission project, and the person that hired me to build it for them actually asked me what feels like a year ago. So I actually just forgot about it, and but I'm going to reveal that soon, tonight, as soon as we get started here. So we're going to wait for a few more people to roll in, as they do, since I started about 5 minutes earlier than the published start time. Sorry if that doesn't work out for some people, but with my current drive time home, sometimes it's unpredictable. It takes me almost 2 hours, and I used to start 6 o'clock, all religiously, but sometimes I can't even make it home until right at 6 or 10 minutes before or something like that. So I set it for 6:15. That gives me a little bit of cushion there, just in case I'm a little late because of the traffic. So anyway, I guess we'll talk about the Ornithopter and its current state until we get some viewers in here. So let me go down to, let's go down to the download here. So yeah, got the canopy off. Just last week we did all the panel lines on the landing gear and ramp assembly here. The top of the ramp was already done. I had done that shortly after paint. But I'm going to pull this off, and then we'll start actually doing the panel lining, on the body, the main body of the Ornithopter. So anyway, just hanging out, and we'll wait for some viewers here, see if we get anybody to pop in the next few. If not, well, then we shall see. So anyway, how's everybody's hump day? Hope yours is going well. I'm going to take off the landing gear here. It's not fully snapped in, so it'll be easy to get this off. Just kind of rock it. There we go. Back and forth. I had somebody actually make a suggestion last week that I do my live streams on Tuesdays or Thursdays because everybody knows Tim Harkins. He likes to live stream on Wednesdays as well. But, I was doing my Wednesday live stream for quite a long time before Tim came back online. So I don't plan on changing that, but who knows, if I don't get enough people watching, then maybe I will. But for now, I'm just going to continue business as usual, I suppose. Yes, I am live. My phone's telling me I'm live right now. Imagine that. I'm just mixing up my dark brown panel line accent color from Tamiya. And I'm just going to start applying some panel lines here. Recap of last week's when I actually secured all of these receivers for the wings, and with the photo etch body insert, some of them were a little too far down into the hole, so I actually had to shim them up, so you can kind of see the white dot there down the hole. That's plastic behind that. That was in order to shim this up. I wanted these to be at the same depth, so 3 of 4 per side got shimmed up a little bit to give them a higher level there, so they're more in the position they should really have been. And if you don't know, originally these were a big block that the kit actually blocks off the entire hallway that goes from the ramp to the front, and it just has this large block of all the receivers, and they kind of have a like teeth, so you can pivot them slightly. But these are going to be now fixed. There's no way to pivot them anymore because now the hallway, it basically goes all the way through. You can see straight through to the back. It was right out the back, just like the movie set. That's what this whole process was: gutting the entire interior, folding up this giant piece of photo etch, multi-layer photo etch, and then installing it in where the original cockpit and everything went. So, anywho, I'm going to shake this up a little bit more. If you just popped in, let me know who's here. Say your name in the chat. Say hi. What's up, Nigel? Good to have you back, my friend. And well, before I get started, then, since we got people starting to show up, let me know who's in the chat or who's watching, because we're going to do a couple of reveals here. I am going to work on the Ornithopter tonight, but I have two reveals. I just had a package show up from HobbyLink Japan, so I want to. What is up? Who is that? Is that Isaiah? Oh, is it? Whose picture is that? Amuse. Is that Isaiah or someone else? Am I missing? I don't know until I get used to everybody. Oh, David. Sorry. What's up, David? So yeah, I'm going to reveal a commission project and also some stuff that just showed up in the mail today. I know your last name. I know who you are now. It's just I didn't know what your handle was on YouTube. So anyway, so I had some stuff in my private warehouse that I ordered a while back, and then I finally decided to ship it and paid extortionary prices to get it here. You can see this fin, this wing. It's because I got my ceiling fan on. It's pretty warm in here right now. A new commission. Yeah, Nigel, wait to see it. David's actually the one commissioning me to do it. So I guess I'll start with, we start with the mail call, and then we'll get into the commission, because that's going to be the next project after this, after I finish the Ornithopter. So first off, showed up in the mail today was a couple of weapon sets for the Valkyries. You've seen these before. Never hurts to have too many of these, especially if you got a lot of 1/48 scale Valkyries. The weapon sets come with pretty much everything you see here, so you can configure your loadouts in pretty much any combination you want. So I always try to keep some of these on hand. Typically, when I use one of these, you always have extra parts, so you can actually have, basically one of these kits will do maybe 1.5 Valkyries. So you always have extras left over, and depending on your loadout, you'll have leftover nukes, or you'll have, extra micro missile pods, or these, if you're flying in atmosphere, you're going to have the standard missiles here. But those are cool. So yeah, I always like to keep a couple of those, because they'll also mount on pretty much any current 1/48 scale Macross Valkyrie, depending on, even if it's a YF 17 or YF 19. What's up, Julius? And so now the last but not least here is what I really was waiting for. Those weapon sets were just something I had added on at the last minute to kind of try to keep the shipping down. But here's the big boy. Movie version. Let's see if I can get this in frame. So yeah. Now let's see. Now I've just learned how to say the Quedlin Row, but now I've got to figure out how to say the Nazjadul Gur. Yeah, sure. You try to say it. Why is my camera flipped? That's weird. Let's see if I can change that in the settings. I just realized you guys are looking at everything backwards, aren't you? That's not cool. Let's see here. That's camera. Let me try to. Why is it there? Now we got it. Now we can see everything the way it's supposed to be. Gosh, why was that backwards? I don't know why that changes sometimes. I don't do that. I didn't do that myself. All right, so now we can put this back in frame. You should be able to see it the way it was intended. There we go. That's better. Is that the new Macross kit from a reprint of an old one? This is a brand new kit. Right now, I think you can get them still from HobbyLink Japan. They were not back ordered, but they were like a 5-day restock or something like that. But this is the same scale. It's a 172, and it goes in line with the Quedlin Row kits that I bought. I bought the Max and Myriad Quedlin Row kits. So there we go. But this is the movie version as well. So I thought, I had some ideas about what to do with this. I could build the other Quedlin Row kit, the Myriad version, and have her punching her fist through the face of this guy, like in the movie. But I don't know. I don't know if we're going to go to that extreme. Anyway, I haven't even opened that box yet. I just. Well, let's open it up. Let's see what it looks like. So this is a big thing, and then we'll get to the new reveal here. The next project. Let me put this box down. So it looks like molded in color, just like the Quedlin Row kits. Looks nice. There's some amber, not really amber, but yellow lighting lenses there, green and gray. Some looks like some brown for the weapon. Ooh, nice decal sheet. Very nice decal sheet. I'm hoping these are better than the Quedlin Row kits because they had some real issues. They were just so brittle. The decals were so hard to get off of the sheet without making a mess. I ended up not even using them because they were just so fragile. But now you get an idea. Here is the color breakdown. See if I can bring this in. There we go. Hey, what's up, Tim? How you doing, bud? Mecha decals would look really good on this. Yes, they would. I have plenty of those. By the way, buy Mecha decals. Go to childofmecha.com or USA Gundam Store, right? And get those decals that Tim is talking about. Mr. Child of Mecha talking about Mecha decals. So you got them in 144, 1/100 scale as well, and they are some of the best, I would say, for third-party decals you can buy because they're made by oh gosh, remind me who makes them? They're Rapidograph, right? No, not Rapidograph. It's something graph, right? It's good to have YouTube again. I've been missing these streams. Well, yeah, I know, Nigel. Cartograph? Remind me, Tim. Cartograph, yes, that's what I thought. And they are by far, even Cartograph. I've got a few model kits that came with Cartograph decals, and they are so durable and so easy to use. So if you go buy the Mecha decals, they're basically a generic Mecha decal that can be used on any Mecha model. They're not specific to any genre, just in size by scale. So you can buy them and buy them in different colors. Even they've got, as far as I remember, unless you've added more colors, there was red, gray, and white, and then and all sorts of different types like that. So everybody is probably wanting to see what I'm going to do for the next project. And somebody asked me recently, what's the next project going to be? And sometimes when I get close to the end of a project like this, I'm nearing the end. I still got some figures to paint and stuff like that. But I start thinking about what's the next one going to be? What am I going to go to after that? Well, my friend David here reminded me that he asked me to do a commission for him. And I don't know if he heard this when I started, but I actually forgot about it because it seems like almost a year ago that he asked me if I was interested. And it's a really cool kit. It's a resin kit, so it's going to have its own challenges there. But he said, yeah, well, he had to get the kit first, and then time went by, things happened, new job, all these other things, and real life gets in the way, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you still want to build that kit for me? And I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about it. So, and another nice thing about it was David lives pretty close to where I work, so he was able to hand deliver it to me, and I'm going to bring that up right now. So, what's in the box? Well, let me tell you, it's heavy. It's heavy. So, take out this first box. Now, this is not for children. Let it be known that this is not a kit for kids. And I don't mean that because it's difficult to build. I mean that because it's adult in nature. If anybody has seen the show Ghost in the Shell, that's what this is. So, this is a Ghost in the Shell kit, and it's a lot larger than I imagined. When he showed me the photos of it, I'm going to move some of these parts so I can kind of slide this better into frame. Now I might actually go, let me see what the close-up view looks like. There we go. That's better. Let's do that. Then we can see what's in the box. All right, you ready? Here come, resin kits, right? So here is the Ghost in the Shell. I'm trying to get this in where there's no glare on the screen. So again, not for kids, for obvious reasons. One of the biggest challenges I'm going to see with this build is the flesh tones. I have not done any significant flesh tone, especially anime or otherwise, for any kit other than really just faces and stuff like that. Those are relatively easy. So this will be the first time I'm digging into doing a full flesh tone kit in an anime style thing. But what I do have is this, and this is something I purchased a while back, and it's a pre-made kit, set of flesh tones by Mr. Color, and they are lacquer based, just like always. But if you see, there are several different, 4 different colors, 4 different shades. Now some of these look very similar because they're just not mixed up, but basically you have, let me open this up. Sorry, I'm not so stoked. Yeah, sorry, I'm not. I'm trying to keep my eye on the chat, but I'm keep missing stuff because I'm just looking down at what I'm doing here. Let me get caught. Did I miss any questions or anything like that? Nope, there's Cartograph. That's pretty much it. Love the Ghost in the Shell. So, nice part about it is it has a little tutorial in here on what to start with, depending on what your finished flesh tone wants to be. So you start with some of the darker ones, and it looks like you end up with a lighter shade, using the darker tone as a kind of like a pre-shade would for a model kit. My question to those in the room is, what is your go-to primer for doing flesh tones? And I don't mean what brand necessarily. What I mean is what color. Obviously, you're not going to use a black primer. At least I wouldn't think about using a black primer. White primer, maybe. I have actually Mr. Color resin primer, which I might use, but that's a gray, and then maybe go over that with a pink primer. Is there any pink primers out there, like Mr. Color or so? Anyway, let me know in the chat if you know of any. Probably pink, yeah. Well, I don't have any pink primer, so unless I do, just do a white primer and then shoot some pink over the top of that. I mean, I could probably, easily do it that way. I'm just thinking I don't want to do something too dark because obviously that's going to affect the outcome of the guy who makes a pink primer. You have some. Oh, you have it even. Well, I'll look for it. We can talk about that later, Brian. But yeah, or David. Excuse me. What did I say, Brian? What did I say, Brian for? I'm being foolish. I said Brian. I meant David. What am I talking? Who am I talking about? So it looks like there is some magnets in here, and there's some wiring because there's obviously some loose wiring and stuff that has to come off of her body and go into the base. There's some connections there, so it does come with some rare earth magnets there, which is a nice little addition. And then there's also a nice decal sheet that has some either eyelids open, expressions, and then different pupils and stuff depending on what you want. Tamiya also makes a pink primer. Pink is good for reds and yellows as base color. My biggest problem is this is resin, and I want a primer that's also going to stick. Now I know Mr. Color makes her own resin primer, but you know, do you guys think that a standard primer, like say for instance the pink one you guys are talking about, will be fine on resin? That's the question. I obviously want the paint to stick. There's going to be some masking involved here. So, gosh, there are some large pieces in there. We'll get to the base in a minute. The base is absolutely ridiculously huge. And it's just a solid chunk of resin. It's massive. This is what I have. But a lot of very good mini painters use mahogany. I do have some mahogany. I actually have that. Do I have it behind me? I know I have mahogany primer, but they use that on resin. That's the question. I mean, I know Mr. Color's pretty stout no matter what you use, so I'd probably be, feel confident knowing that a decent primer there, regardless of what color I use. But anyway, the figure is pretty massive. You can see the torso here. I'm going to open this up. I did look at the base. There's quite a bit of cleanup to do on there. You can see a lot of the where the injection points were, the little tabs where they cut off. So look how big. I mean, this torso is massive. It's a lot larger than I had anticipated. I was looking at the photographs. I was thinking it was about maybe half this size. Like most resin figures are maybe 120 scale or something like that. Maybe a little bit larger. This scale here is probably like 110. I don't know. Maybe does it have the scale on here? I wonder if it's listed. Anyway, so Tamiya and Gunze Gaia, all good for resin. Okay. Well, I'll use mahogany then. Mahogany is kind of dark though, so I may end up trying to find some of that Tamiya primer that you're talking about, the Tamiya pink primer. So far, I actually want to take a moment to open this just to see what the build instructions look like here. Leave the decal sheet there. Okay, so yeah, some really thin resin pieces. Now, David said that he looked through this and there weren't anything broken, which I'm really pleased to hear. But gosh, there is not a whole lot of instruction here. There's nothing in the resin bag either, so I guess it's just figure it out. Got all the different bags, different parts. So yeah, I guess you just have to eyeball it, and then it's going to be quite a bit of cleanup too, as far as making sure there's no mold release on any of these parts. This is one of the things I hate about these. I love these little plastic bags; they're quite nice, but sometimes trying to put sheets back in them Not easy. Mahogany will shadow work easier, but pink will give good color saturation. Yeah, I agree. So it's a trade-off. Try to figure out what works best. And everything's going to be airbrush, so it won't be hard to put a thin layer. Try a little, try the mahogany, see how that works, see if it works well. Just to kind of get an idea. Let me see here before I miss any too many. Mr. Color makes Mr. Finishing Surface for 1500 pink. Oh, nice. 1500 even. That's really good. That's really a smooth surface there. But at least there are some instructions for the wire. There are some instructions for the wires. Where? Oh, is that in the? It's not even in the bag. Is it under this? Am I missing it? Because I didn't see anything in the box, or unfortunately, but at least there are some instructions for the wires. Is that in the pictures I just looked at? Oh well, I'll figure it out. Yeah, there's a little bit of flash here and there, and there's a support here. I can see that needs to be trimmed off. No big deals there. But overall, the molds look really, really well. Very smooth. It looks like they've added, where seams are going to be, they've made them in a way where, the pieces that go over them will cover up most of that. There's even this injection point on the knee here. There's you can see a little nub here that needs to be trimmed off. There's no mold line. I mean, virtually no mold lines, which is really good. Okay. So some of these magnets would be like for the hair. You can click on the hair and stuff. That's cool. I can see there's a hole. You can see under the hair here. There's a round circle there. That will be for one magnet. There's one on the top of the head, right here, the back of the head. So that's made for that to just click on. So ease of assembly there. You can easily paint the parts too separately, which makes that nice, and then just click them on. A little bit of flash on the firearm. Who's paying me, David? Oh, he sent me a link. Cool. Thanks, David. I'll get it in a minute. I'll get it later. I should probably mute my sound there, so I just don't have me making loud noises when you guys are messaging me. But overall, even the feet, there's toenails, everything very highly detailed. Looks really, really nice. Sharp edges on most all of these mechanical features, and the separation looks great. Really great. So that's what we're going to work on next, guys. Let me see. We've got all these little. Yeah, these dangly. These are all the really. Wow, those are some really thin. Yeah, they're in one piece. All right, good on them. So it'll take some fitting. I don't see anything in this box that shows anything for the wiring. I'll have to look at the instructions again to see, or this packet here, to see if there's anything for the wiring. Otherwise, I would just have to use the photos as reference and just make it work, which is not a big deal, not a huge deal. It will take a little bit of playing around with to get it perfect, but we'll make it work. There's quite a few detailed mechanical bits here. Lots of little. This bag's got a ton of little parts, and a lot of these are little hair pieces. That have to go on separately onto the head. It looks like the head has like a. Yeah, you can see there's little spots here and there where some of these hair tufts are glued in. So it makes it kind of nice that you can paint a lot of this stuff ahead of time and then be able to click it on, and you don't have to do any masking. Minimizes the amount of that. Other than that, it looks really, really good. So once we get done here with the Ornithopter, we'll start on this. I'll bust out the my fan. I've got a collector. It's kind of like I guess you'd call it an exhaust fan, but it pulls everything into a filter. So when I'm sanding all of this resin stuff, it goes into that filter, and you don't have that blowing around the room. But yeah, looking forward to this. This is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a fun challenge. So anyway, enough talk about this stuff. Let's get on to current project, which is the Ornithopter. It's on a white sheet, has a lot of things on it. Okay, I'll look again. No big deals. And if I don't find it, well, yeah, then I'll speak up and we'll figure it out before we get started. But yeah, once you prime it, of course, I know how resin works, or priming anything for that matter, Nigel. Yeah, cool stuff. All right, so we're just doing panel lines, and we're doing the main body here. So we got all the landing gear done last week. Still need to flat coat all that, and there's no decals in this kit at all. The canopy still has the mask on the outside. Here's the inside. I got a little bit of painting to do because I had to remove more material to make room for this to fit without it. The photo which was pushing up on it and creating a huge gap when this was on, so I had to scrape out some more material there, and I've got to touch that. I got to take an airbrush to that. But you can see all the glass pieces are in. It's just the masking on the outside, so I can top coat all this without any issues, and then remove that at the last minute. So all this stuff was clear coated with Guy Notes Super Clear, which is a really good clear coat. But because there's no decals, I wasn't going for a massively shiny surface. You know, the smooth surface. It's smooth enough for panel lines, but not as important if I'm trying to do decals. I want to make sure I've got a really dark, nice, shiny, smooth surface, just to guarantee there's no silvering. You can put decals on, but in this case, we don't need to worry about that. So, I don't know if you guys are. There's a couple guys here in Washington in the chat, but you got a lot of wildfires going on. I guess some arsonists back east started a massive fire in Spokane area. So we got a ton of smoke flying around, and it's just making life miserable here. You might even hear it in my voice a little bit, a little raspy. It's just, you can see it, the sun is just orange, and the sunsets are really dark orange and red because of all the smoke. And fortunately, the friends I do know back east are still okay. They're not in any danger at the moment, although they know people that have been evacuated. But from what I hear, all of their structures are still up and standing. They didn't lose any homes or anything like that. One was included in my tool set. What are you trying to? Oh, a fountain pen. Yeah. I used to use rapidograph pens, and I did for a while. I bought a whole set. I used to use rapidograph when I was doing drafting class in high school, and they were always, you could buy these double-aught, triple-aught, ink pens, and they worked well, but I typically don't use penline pens. I'm old school. Besides, in this case, I've got brown color, versus just straight black or something like that. I wanted to use brown, so isn't quite a stark contrast on this color. Uh, but I did shim all of these up. 3 out of 4 on each side of the ornithopter needed to be shimmed. With the photo etch inside, some of these would sit too far in. You can kind of actually you can see the white right down there, and then there's these two down here are also. Those have plastic shims holding them further out from where they were. They would have been way too far down, and it wouldn't have looked right at all. Because with gutting the whole interior to make way for that photo etch, you lose quite a bit. It does put these at a different angle too, so it's going to be interesting to see when all the wings are in, because they'll probably be at different angles, which is kind of cool because it's supposed to be in flight, so they might be in different angles anyway. So I'll do this side first. And once we get this stage done, then we'll head into doing the weathering. It'll be dusty, a lot of dirt, a lot of sand, stuff like that. Now that I'm seeing what I'm going to do next, it's like now I'm trying to think, well, what can I do to finish this thing? Get it done now so I can get started. I'm excited about starting that project. First couple episodes will probably be all the cleanup work, just sanding, trimming, making sure that, and then I'll have to soak everything overnight in purple power to make sure that there aren't any, get all the mold release off. So hopefully I don't have any issues painting. And most of the time, with resin, it's surface prep is the biggest thing. If you can do a decent surface prep, then your chances of success with paint are usually pretty good. If you don't spend the time to clean the resin properly, then you may run into issues. But typically, most of the time, I always end up having at least one spot where you go to pull some masking tape off, and it kind of just doesn't. You end up losing a piece of paint or something like that. Just a small spot. No matter how diligent you are to try to clean everything, it seems like there's always going to be at least one spot that may have just a little bit of mold release still on it, or just didn't quite get cleaned up enough. It ends up chipping the paint a little bit when you take it off. I'm going to do a lot of this first. Sometimes I do these kind of things in sections, let a little bit dry and remove it all, but I'm going to do most of this in one go. So what's everybody working on? Anything special or working on anything at all? Let me know in the chat. I plan on doing some weathering with these exhaust vents on the side. Having some stains, smoke stains and stuff like that coming off the kind of hitting the fuselage, kind of a little bit of blow by coming off the back. I think that would look nice. Other than that, it's not going to be too bad. It's just a lot of dust and dirt, some grime. When you have fluid leaks or hydraulic, any kind of fluid leak with a lot of dirt, there's going to be dirt collection there, and you end up with some accumulation and stuff like that. So that'll be a nice little effect if I can add the right amount to make it look realistic. Look at my Lego castle. Nice. These Legos are so expensive. I can't imagine what they're like in New Zealand. They're expensive here. It's got to be way expensive over there. Cannot imagine. All right, come to that side. And we'll flip over and get the rest of this side. We might do a little bit right here too. It's not really a panel line, but it's like there's enough of a crease in the body, to maybe have a little bit of collection there. So do that on both sides. Now this may wipe up completely away when I go to clean it, but it'll bring a little bit of highlight to that area if it sticks. Anybody else building anything? Everybody must be over there watching Tim. Yeah, I used to get at least 10, 15, maybe more people, but like I said, being gone for too much didn't help. It'd take a little bit to build everything back up. Those viewers back. I'm going to shake this up. I notice once these sit for a minute, they start to lose the pigment. So that's better. I think it's going to take the most is doing all these things. I did one last week, and but they're just so big, and they've got quite a few panel lines on them, so it takes a while to, instead of just like painting it on thick, taking your time and trying to reduce the amount of cleanup so you get it each groove as best you can to try to, like I said, minimize the cleanup. Like these, I'm just kind of slathering it over everything, just trying to get it into those grooves. Telling Mike I'm working on an old 1984 Airwolf. Oh, that's right. Yeah. How's that coming? Did you have any luck finding a detail set, or having talking to James about maybe having him print some stuff for the cockpit? I used to love that show when I was a kid. It's so fun. I mean, you watch it now and it's kind of like, oh god, it didn't age well. But when you're a kid, you fantasize about flying this really cool helicopter. It's pretty fun to watch. And now it's kind of cheesy. You look at the special effects they used to like missile shootings like that. It was all pretty hokey special effects. Not the best, but for the time period, it sure was about as good as you're going to get. All right, almost done here. What's up, Nick? Hey, did you guys close that Instagram chat channel? I couldn't find it for some reason. I was trying to let everybody know I was live streaming tonight, but I couldn't find it. Maybe it's just I haven't used it in so long that theme song. So yeah, that's true. Don't get me started. Now it's going to be stuck in my head. If you don't, if you do still have that chat or that Instagram, that group that we had, let me know what it was called again, because I kept searching for it, but I just couldn't find it. Oops, do this side first. This is the one that's drier. Not that you know of. Huh? Okay. That's good. Like I said, sometimes I have a hard time finding it. So I don't know if it doesn't show up in my chat channels. Like, unless I use it quite often or quite regularly, does it show up? Oh, that was good. I'm glad I put that panel line in there because it did hold on to that groove. Need a little bit of coloration there. Huh. Anywho, so I'm going to keep starting at this time. I try to set it for 6:15, just depending on my traffic. Typically, I do get home before 6 o'clock. This time it was maybe like today. It was like about 10 minutes before 6. So not perfect to just jump in the house and try to get the computer on and get everything going. So I set it for 6:15, but usually end up starting around 10 after, 5 after, or something like that. And I know that's not exactly convenient for your notifications and stuff because you expect it to start at the whatever start time. But that's why in the beginning now, if I get on here and nobody's here watching, I'll just wait for a bit and then wait for some people to join in. What are you swabbing? I am removing the excess panel line with AK Interactive's odorless enamel thinner. So I put all the panel line accent color on, and now I'm just basically going over and wiping off the excess. So it's going to leave all that panel line stuff behind in the grooves. Plus, because I'm using this brown color, it can be used as kind of some dirt, some grime a little bit, which it'll look like when I start weathering it with, using the pigments and stuff. And God knows I got plenty of dry pigments with uh, sand and stuff like that. I guess it's gone, huh? It is gone. Okay, so it wasn't just me. I looked all over for it. I mean, who started it? Was it George's group? Maybe that's why, because he closed his Instagram account. Maybe the chat went with it. What was it called? Was it like AmFam or something like that? Yeah, that's what it was. Just occurred to me. Just remembered it just now. Huh. I wonder if you type in AmFam. Because that's how I had to find it. A couple of times I couldn't find it. Like it wasn't in my recent chats, even though it should have been. And then I just typed in AmFam and it came back up. But yeah, George started it, AmFam. So that's what I'm afraid of. I wonder if Instagram just said nope. He closed his account, so they just blew out all the chat channels. I mean, we kept it going even though he wasn't. That's why I don't get it, because even when he left, he was, everybody was still kind of using it. A lot of little nicks and a lot of little grooves and quite a few details on this part of the kit. So this portion is going to take a little time. Learning from me. Oh, cool. I'm glad. That's why I do this. David. I like to be able to share experience and knowledge. I mean, certainly I'm always learning new stuff every day. So it's nice to be able to pass on some of that to somebody, anybody. Some of these things, sometimes I call them mundane because they seem mostly routine type stuff, like especially like panel lines. It's just one of the things that's pretty common in model building like this, but not everybody does it. I try to do it on almost. I know I do on every single kit I build has some kind of panel lining done to it. But it is, I think, an important step. It helps bring out those details pop a little more rather than just using just by shadows or whatever, by darkening them up a little bit. And plus the accent colors can be used as a weathering product too. By, like I said, if you add a little bit more, you're going to get some grime in there. It looks a lot better with that accent color in there. And if you take too much off over, you miss. You just go back and apply some more. But okay, I got two more of these receivers to do up here. I may have to cut this off. This oh shoot! Almost lost my bottle there. This Q-tip is getting a little haggard. I like these Q-tips. They're Daiso brand, which I believe is a Chinese company or a Japanese company. And but they're the blue style. They have one side has a pointed end, the other one has just a standard Q-tip type end to it, and they don't shed as much like normal Q-tips do. They don't leave behind a bunch of fibers, which end up getting into your clear coats. They do occasionally do that. I mean, just like anything, it's not always gonna be, especially if you're doing a kit that has a lot of rough surfaces, is gonna grab a hold of the Q-tip and pull those fibers off. That's just inevitable. Something like this is pretty smooth, so it's not too terribly bad. But I like the pointed end for this type of application because it's got a lot of little deep spots that I got to get down into, get some of that stuff out of there. But yeah, this one's worn out. I'm going to cut it off. Found it when I typed it. I guess it's just lost. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. Because when I just forgot. I couldn't remember the name of it. I had, again, it was like I had a brain fart. I was just like, what is it? What was it called? It wasn't until we were just sitting here talking about it that I remembered. But yeah, I was going to go on there and say, hey, I'm going live, like I always do. But it was almost time to start, so that's why I just messaged you directly. Oops, I totally missed a spot. I can see where I missed a spot here. See, David, now you got that theme song stuck in my head. I told you, once you say it, it's going to be stuck in my head. I remember as a kid watching that show, and then I know there was one time where we came out of our house. So this was the house I grew up in, California. We came out of the house, and there was a helicopter like it. I don't know if it was that helicopter, but it was the same exact body style, and it was flying. I don't know if they were filming with it or whatever, but it was flying around. And it was pretty cool to see in person. I think what made it unique was the body style, because it wasn't it? Didn't they use like the nose of a Cessna airplane or something like that? How they designed the body shape of that, or the nose? A Bell helicopter? I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't remember. I just remember it had a very, that unique front nose, and had the little wing nodules that came off of it. It looked very much like a small airplane without propeller, in the front on the nose. But still pretty cool. Now, did you tell me what scale that was, David? Is it like 1/72nd, or is it bigger, like a 1/48? I don't remember if you told me. If you did, I don't remember. Sorry about that. And I do still need, I tried last live stream. I made a mistake, and I called somebody out thinking that I was being, spammed. And the reason why, and again, I'm not making excuses. Somebody chimed in the chat. Huh? Thanks, Zoms JPEG. How you doing, bud? Thank you. But anyway, someone asked, said something in the YouTube chat, which is, I never get spammed there. But and again, I wear. You look at my face. I mean, here, let me go up to the face. So when I'm working, I've got magnifiers on like this because I can't see, right? So I'm always looking over the top of them at the chat, trying to keep an eye on the chats like that. So when I looked up, I thought I read something that looked like an advertisement, because I had been talking about, I hadn't turned my computer on in a while because I've been working the late shift, stuff like that. And so I made mention that I had to do a lot of updates. And anyway, this guy jumped on and said something about, those pesky Windows updates. And I misinterpreted it as a spam message. And it turns out I hurt somebody's feelings, because I thought I was trying to, like I wasn't interested in what they were saying. And I made it sound like, and so he comes back saying, "What? I'm just trying to talk to you, and you say I'm spam." And then I just felt I was mortified at that point, because I realized that I made a mistake. I tried to apologize. I'm hoping that person comes back and checks it out. 148. That's cool. That's a good size for any kind of aircraft kit. I mean, I think of the Macross Valkyries, and yeah, they make a lot of 172 scale, variations out there, and there's a lot to choose from. But boy, once you build a 148, kind of get spoiled. So anyway, I hope that person comes back. gives me another shot. But yeah, I kind of put my foot in my mouth on that one. I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, and I tried to apologize, but they either didn't respond or they weren't there anymore, and I just I wasn't able to mend that. But again, I kind of felt bad because it was my first live stream back after a while, and I just botched it. But like I said, I looked up and I was just like, I thought I read something that looked like an ad. When you get sometimes you get these spam texts or in the chat, and primarily I get them from the Twitch side of it. Seems to spam me more than anything. That's why I was surprised to see it was on YouTube, but I didn't realize it was somebody behind it actually asking me a question. Makes sense. That happens to me a lot. I actually read a message wrong, and then I'll assume it's like spam. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I did, and I commented on it, and that's when it just went south from there. I said I tried to recover from it, but it just damage was done. I didn't say anything mean. I just said, "Oh, I'm getting spammed," and I didn't go out and haul out, cuss somebody out. I didn't know what it was, but oh well, it is what it is. We're only human, right? If we were perfect beings, we wouldn't need technicians to fix cars. We'd make perfect cars, right? It wouldn't break. Just such is life, So live and learn. I am by no means perfect. Anyways, okay, we're almost done with this. You don't mind me asking, what are you working on? Okay, this is a good question. I should put that on the screen. Let me see if I can carefully reach up here and grab the box. So what we are working on is the Atreides Ornithopter from Dune. This guy. Looks like a giant dragonfly, essentially. And it's a 172 scale by Meng. And I must say, I've heard good things about Meng kits, but never actually built one until now. And I am quite impressed, I think, by the quality of it. I think I've heard Meng makes very good armor kits, like tanks and stuff like that. So to see this, and it was a friend of mine that was selling it. And so I thought, yeah, why not? It looks interesting, something different, aircraft build of sorts, from a movie. So I decided to buy it off of them, and not been disappointed. And then I found somebody mentioned, in fact, I'd already snapped it together. I had glued some things together, but I was doing a live stream here, and someone goes, "Oh, there's a photo etch set for that." And I thought, "Oh boy, here we go." And that's just me. I was suckered. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, "Oh, take my money." I always like making things 10 times more complicated than they need to be. And sure enough, this was probably the most challenging photo etch modification I've ever had to do. Most of this time, when you buy a photo etch set, it's more of detailed, highly detailed pieces that go on just to enhance the overall. Sorry for coughing, guys. It's the stupid smoke right here. Photo etch is surface detail, stuff like that, not a full-on cockpit and passenger crew cabin. It's the whole thing. I mean, basically, if you were to take the original kit, the back of the cockpit stopped right here behind this second row of seats. Oops. Sorry, my cursor's over there. I didn't see it. You have a bunch of photo etch stuff for some Gunpla kits. They are a bit intimidating. Oh, yeah, I understand. But do yourself a favor. If you can afford it, get yourself some VMS stuff. They make great CA style glues for different things. Like this one is for resin. All right. Specifically, I'm going to be using this one a lot, I'm sure, on the next build. And then we've got a slow version, slow drying. So you can, it gets a little bit more working time. Not much, but a little bit more. Then you've got this one, which is for PE, for photo etch. Then we've also got the black thin, which is a nice CA. So it's thinner, it gets into those areas a little bit easier, but it's black, so you can see where it's going. And then another one that's very important is the glue remover. especially if you're doing photo etch. Because if you get any glue that comes out from underneath it, you can use this. This has a little brush in here, but I've also used a Q-tip mostly. But it has a brush, and you can put that on there, and it will remove any excess glue outside of the photo etch that you don't want. So, and then I also picked up some CA filler. This is like a powder that you can use and mix it in, and it also makes it almost like a putty. And then we've got metal prep. This was for the photo etch as well. But I do recommend thinning this, or at least diluting it a little bit with some isopropyl alcohol, and then brushing it on. Because when you try to brush it on as it is, it doesn't flow nice and flat. And so it'll actually texture your photo etch if you're trying to use it, because it's basically, it helps with paint adhesion on the photo etch. You want to use the metal prep there, so when you go to prime it, the paint will stick a little better. It's like an adhesion promoter, essentially. So now we're done with this. I'm going to set this aside for a second. We're going to put some more panel line on. But anyway, this is me with details of that stuff. Okay, will do, David. It's VMS. I bought it from, I think it was Michigan Toy Soldier. And sometimes they have all of the products, and sometimes they're out of certain things. It's hit or miss. I had to wait a little bit longer to get, I think it was the glue remover and the filler. I think those were the two things I couldn't find right away. But Michigan Toy Soldier had most of it. And I think, yeah, they're obviously in Michigan, so you don't have to worry about shipping delays and all that stuff. Anyway, it's good stuff. Oh, big message here. Let me put this on screen and see if it gets it all. Yep. I honestly kind of like doing the opposite, because texturing can help a lot. We're doing for the piece that looks older. Yeah, that's true. You got a valid point there. Yeah, I guess if you want texture, then certainly, yeah, don't just leave it the way it is. I was trying to keep, I noticed at most on this ramp here and some of the cockpit interior, I wanted this smooth, but it textured this a little bit because it kind of pooled up instead of flowing evenly. It would pool in certain places, like it wasn't sticking to the photo etch. So, that's why I recommend the iso alcohol. And I just put a little bit in one of these little tins, these little guys, and then put a little bit of glue in there, and that. Oh no! Don't worry about the big messages. I just put it on screen because it's a good point. I try to highlight those questions that maybe have a little more detail than others, and I'll put them on screen and we'll talk about them. A lot of times I don't get to all of them because, yeah, I am still working on the model and I miss a message or something like that, so I don't always put them all on screen. But if I get a good question, certainly I want to talk about it. So don't worry about that. I'm not going to limit everybody and tell everybody, you can't message me unless it's a short message. Please, I don't want to seem ungrateful at all. Trust me. I appreciate the support, and I wouldn't. You guys are the reason I do this is because of you guys. I don't make money at this. In order to be, monetize this, you really gotta. You gotta be streaming all day long, every day. I work a real job. I work a regular job. I don't have time to do this continuously all the time. And I have a family. I have a wife, so. If this ever became a business, then that's one thing, but it's not. It's still a hobby. At the end of the day, I do this in my spare time. Real life comes first, and it's also looking extremely cool. My transformer model is actually currently drying because I just primed the first layer. Nice. Which transformer is it? Are we going Decepticon, or are we going Autobot, what are we doing? Let's see, just put that on there for everybody. Oh, what's up, Pilot? Getting a lot of people from Twitch today. That's good. Usually only get one or two, but that's awesome. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. So I use StreamYard. I can broadcast to 3 locations at once. So I use Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I don't focus as much on Twitch as I do the other platforms. YouTube, I think, is primarily where my focus would be. But it's nice to be able to have this go to 3 locations at once. But Facebook has updated, and this was a while ago, but they've updated their storage policies. So anything that's over 30 days old, they just delete it. So again, I think I mostly promote the YouTube side of it just because all my content will stay there. It doesn't go anywhere. Unlike, I can't say that about Twitch either. I guess Twitch, I don't know if Twitch deletes stuff like that either, but gosh darn it. This thing is, there we go. That little gasket under the lid, it's trying to come out. Sorry, I need to go to sleep. It's 4 a.m. Oh boy. You're in Germany. Oh, nice. Well, great. Thanks for stopping in, though. That's great. Awesome. I don't think I've had anybody from Germany before. Thanks, Pilot. Well, have a good night. Appreciate you. Maybe we'll catch you next time. Oh, Soundwave. Okay. So you're doing one of those. I built the Optimus Prime. Oh gosh, what's the brand? Oh man, I almost bought Soundwave, but the one thing that kept me from buying it is it looks like they reused a lot of the same molds from the Optimus Prime model, and you can see it especially in like the legs and the feet. They just changed the color of it. So I thought that was kind of disappointing because you'd think that they could build a new one from the ground up. But that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is like, well, yeah, these are Transformers. They may have used similar parts to build, these things, whether it were Decepticon or Autobot. Whoa. Lost everything. Shoot. Okay, there we go. I'm getting caught up here. I'm here using YouTube once I got called multiple slurs, huh? You tried using YouTube once, but got called. Well, what happened? A bad experience, huh? Now, the big difference is because I'm not broadcasting directly from YouTube. It's basically I'm using StreamYard, and StreamYard is streaming my content to YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube, but it doesn't. We're almost out of time. It doesn't the comments or whatever don't come in. I don't know. What am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of hard to build up. Oh gosh, I'm going to put that on screen. This is before it goes away. See, also Did a mini Mac come out? Yeah, that was the. Yeah, you're right about that. Soundwave. That was the cassette player. You are correct, Nigel. But I don't think that does it on this. Or was it? Was it Soundwave? I'm thinking, or was somebody else? Anyway, models from a good friend of this, like a whole setup, making models and everything. I usually just buy for him, but apparently because the online ones. Oh, you mean when you buy something, you chance of getting scammed? Yeah, I suppose. But if you know your sellers and even like eBay and stuff, they've got buyer protection stuff like that. There's ways to use those services, and even if someone tries to scam you, you'll get your money back. I'm trying to think if I've ever had somebody try to scam me during a model purchase. I don't remember if I have. I really don't. But I know I've had friends that have had some where they just never got something, never showed up or whatever. Like a panther. Oops. Oh, you mean people were criticizing your work, like overly being really? I guess that's kind of crappy. I'd be upset about that too, but I don't know. This type of hobby is, artwork is subjective, but I don't like when people, it's okay to have an opinion. You're going to have an opinion about something the way someone's built or whatever. That's fine, but there are ways to express an opinion without just being belligerent. Really, it's really not necessary, but. I'm just touching up the last few bits here before we finish for the night. I still got to finish the tail section of this, and then it's pretty much down to figure painting and weathering. So we're almost there. We're getting there. Bought it through and it said shipping here in 3 days. Okay, it's been a month. He sold for triple what I paid. Wow. First and finest possible when I did a stream on YouTube originally, like the heck. I think it was people that knew practically nothing about the craft, but that would be God tier attendant. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I try to be as if I'm going to, if somebody wants an honest opinion about a build, it's you got to be able to take take criticism constructively, but there's a way to do it constructively. It's tough to it's tough to say because like I said, there's a way to talk, there's a way to express your opinion without coming off as just arrogant. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, think we're going to wrap things up here, guys. So, oh my God, my eyes are burning. There's so much smoke in the air. Oh, it's horrible. You try to post constructive comments if they think the model has skills, but not the knowledge. Yeah, I mean that's the way to go. You know, constructive comments is fine. I mean, but again, people are going to have to. They're not always going to agree with you, and if you comment on somebody's build, even if you're doing it constructively, sometimes it can come. You know, people can react in a way that is very defensive. Or, but see, that comes down to the person too. Some people just can't take criticism, even if it's constructive. They just don't want to hear it. So that's on them. You ain't got to worry about that. So it's tough. Try not to be a know-it-all. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's one thing. Nick says, first time I post a finished build, some dude dogged it hard. He pulled it down. Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, it's one thing to say you just don't know what somebody's skill level is like. Why would you just rip into somebody without knowing, is this a beginner? Rather than, see here, this is what I'm talking about. Best promotion on streamboo.org. Okay, thanks, Twitch. You can stop. It was only a matter of time before I get freaking spammed. This is what happened last week. I thought somebody was spamming me, but that is definitely a spam message. Anyway, so I'm going to finish the Ornithopter up. I've got 7 of 8 wings to do all the panel lining on. I've got I don't know if I didn't do this. I've got the little lighting module that goes in front on the bottom of the nose. And I got all the figures to paint. Again, we've got a pilot going in the pilot seat, another person sitting in this chair here, and then 2 people on the ramp pulling themselves into the ramp. So it's kind of recreating the scene from the movie Dune. It looks extremely cool anyway. Sorry, I gotta go. I got stuff I need to do. Okay, no worries. Anyway, Zons, thanks for joining in. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Opening up the windows will clear up. Yeah, the smoke's not going to go away, so opening the windows isn't going to help. We've got everything kind of closed up right now. Just have the ACs running to kind of keep the air cool inside. But I'm in my hobby room, so I don't have the AC in here. I just have a ceiling fan on full blast. So it is what it is. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap things up here. So let me go down the list. Last time I saw you working on this kit, you were fitting the PE. Yeah. I know. Now I've got it all. I mean, you can look at it. It goes all the way through. See, you can see the hallway. But it actually fit in there quite nicely once I got it wrapped, and bent the right angles. It actually fit exactly the way they pictured it. It was some of it was a little vague and hard to picture the way it was supposed to be. It was a lot of trial and error, but we got it right. All right, start at the bottom. Nigel was in first, or start at the top meeting Nigel, and then we had David jump in after that. And Julius jumped in after that. Happy Wednesday. Let's keep on going down here. And Tim just popped in for a second just to say hi. He's talking about selling his mecha decals, man. Talk about spam. I'm just kidding. Good on you, Tim. Yes, go buy mecha decals. They are worth it. Every penny. Then we had, let's see, once we got down a little further, we had Julius again, and then I'm going to jump. Clean the resin thoroughly with a degreaser and alcohol. You'll be fine with normal solvent-based primer like this. Okay, good to know. Thanks, Tim. I didn't see that. I put that on the thing earlier. I missed it, but I will put it up now. So cleaning it thoroughly and degreaser and alcohol. Well, I've got plenty of all those things, so we'll do it. Get down here, and then we had Giovanni. Giovanni. Yeah, get late to the party. Sorry I missed you, Giovanni. I didn't see him jump in there. Apologize for not catching that when you did jump in. So I hope you're still here. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Then Nick showed up. We had Zoms from Twitch, a couple people from Twitch, and we had one from Germany, which is really cool. And that was Pilot. Yeah, he jumped in, and that was awesome. Anyway, I think we're at the bottom here. That's pretty much all of the people that joined in on the chat. So anyway, gosh, guys, it's really great to be back, and I'm going to keep doing this on Wednesdays. I may change the day. I don't know. Someone mentioned last week that it might be a good idea to go from either Tuesdays or Thursdays because Tim's live streams on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and but my feeling is my stream was on Wednesday before I went on the night shift, and why change that? But I understand. There's no reason why we need to be competing against each other at the same time slot. He's on East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, but he does do a lot of later live streams than me. I tend to start at 6 p.m. here, or around 6 p.m. here in Pacific. He's at like 9 o'clock Eastern time, going until like 11 or midnight. So anyway, that's good on him. Well, we'll keep going on Wednesdays. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll think about maybe revisit that idea of changing the day. But for now, we're going to keep doing it on Wednesdays. Anyway, as always, guys, thank you. Thanks, Nigel. Nick says later, fellas. As always, guys, I appreciate it. All the support. Thanks so much for that every week. And yeah, be good humans, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, Giovanni says, let us know what time we'll be here, except for this Saturday. Oh, well, that was an impromptu one. Yeah, I don't know if I'll do weekend ones anymore, but we'll see. That was just because I hadn't done a live stream in a while, so I had some free time. My wife's like, just go start the live stream. So that's what I did. But anyway, guys, we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much. Peace out. Loving each one of you. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. We'll keep this thing going. Hey, wait, did it say end? There we go.